bring that here, all right? Go out there and press him and choke him out.
I can't believe I've been on mute for 5 minutes. That's absolutely crazy. Nobody in the chat stopped me. I was 5 minutes muted. Oh my goodness. I'm over here talking up a storm and I just realized I'm muted. Jeez. Let me start all that over. Reset. Oh my goodness. I appreciate. Wow. Okay, starting over. We are here. Jets explosion on offense, although it came in a loss, 34-32 to the Steelers, excuse me, and Aaron Rodgers. We have a lot of positives to take away from that game. But first, I do need to re-shout out everybody that I met at the tailgate, Lot E26, everybody that came up and said hello. Nick Shine was there. It was a great time chopping it up with him for the first time since 2023. Matt O'Leary, Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7, Green Bean, the Talking Jets panel. They were there with Tailgate Joe. That was awesome to talk with them. Some fans, I guess, or listeners of the show we met up with. Nate, parentheses Nate, he didn't show up on a bike, but I definitely had a lot of fun smoking and debating with him at the tailgate. We had a lot of fun predicting the inactives together. I was, I believe, 6 out of 7 on the inactive predictions. So shout out Nate, shout out Dre Day, who came along and was hanging out with us. We got a nice picture holding up his flag there. And there's a couple others. Coach Olglick, who came all the way from California, he stopped by and said hello. I appreciate him stopping. Met a couple other listeners that stopped by at the tailgate. I believe his name was Steven. He came up wearing a Sauce Gardner jersey. He was also from California. So I greatly appreciate him as well for stopping. I met up with Josh Wolliver during halftime at the concession stand. He stopped by. He came halfway across the stadium just to say hello to me. So glad I can get a quick minute with him and wish him the best with all the success he has with Next Gen Jets, Connor Long and the crew over there. And I believe his name was John. He also came up to me when I was talking to Josh in the crowd of the halftime, everybody sprinting to the concessions in the bathroom. I was just trying to get a quick chat in with Josh, and I believe his name was John. Sorry if I'm missing your name here, but I appreciate everybody who came up and said hello both before and during the game. It was awesome talking to you guys. You make it all that much more worth it for me to keep doing this content. I also want to shout out, well, not shout out, but I do want to, speak about today a little bit and what the significance of today is. It is the 24th anniversary, obviously, of the tragic events that happened on September 11th. I think many people, both directly and indirectly, were affected by those events, and we're still feeling the ripple effects of that today. I want to give a shout out to them and a salute to those guys who were all part of that day. I know everybody has a story or a story from somebody and that's close to them that really touches the heart. So if we can all come together for one day as a nation to celebrate this anniversary, that'd be great, because I think a little bit more unity is needed in a time where a lot of people are divided. So I would be remiss if I didn't speak about that and what today was really all about. Trying to pivot to football with that, we will get into the film breakdown. I have about 5 or 6 plays in the hopper. Again, if you want the full experience, you're going to have to get in at the A1 since day one membership tier, $5 a month. I would certainly appreciate that. I just did a 58-minute film breakdown of 21 or 22 plays of the Jets offense. So nearly a third of all the plays they ran against Pittsburgh is in that film review at the A1 since day one tier. Only $4.99 a month. I certainly would appreciate it. It's really going to go a long way to helping me create more exclusive content. We know how YouTube loves to flag everything and shut it down for monetization. So the ability to bring the A1 since day one community an extended film dive is what I'm really aiming to do. So 58 minutes of a film dive over there. Tonight, we're going to get into about 5 or 6 different plays. I'll load them up right here. And this isn't a matter of we're trying to pick the best plays and only talk about the best plays that the Jets had, right? We're going to talk about this as a collective. Like, what are these plays representing? Do they paint a little bit of a picture of what the future could be? Are they just a couple wrinkles where maybe we're doing something off of that in the future that will allow for more success and unpredictability? So with that, I tried to find 5 clips. Some I agreed with, some I didn't agree with. Some are successful plays, some are unsuccessful plays. And I really just wanted to dive into it, but can't stress enough, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I apologize for everybody who sat here for 5 minutes and listened to me talk to sweet nothings into your ear because I was muted. I see about 50 of you guys in the room. I appreciate that greatly. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Consider joining at the A1 since day one tier. The very first play we have loaded up is a 1st and 10. The Jets are at their own 42-yard line. They're going to come out in a 3-by-1 set. So you see 3 eligible receivers to the bottom of the screen and only 1 up to the top. They're going to run a very well-timed screen, in my opinion, to Breece Hall. I think when you look at Tanner Engstrand and his ability to call a game throughout the game, this was one of his finer moments. I don't necessarily think the Steelers were telling them that they wanted to blitz, but he timed up this screen pass to Breece Hall very perfectly, where he was able to execute for 33 yards. Oh, I just got an alert saying that my chat is disabled. Okay, hold on. Let's fix all that first. This is just a very fun, very on the rails film session here. Let's bring me back up first. Sorry about that. I appreciate you, Connor Long, for telling me that. And I will get that rectified in just 1 second. But in the meantime, enjoy my intro one more time.
We want you to bring that here, all right? Go up there and press him and choke him out.
All right, let's see if that worked. It did. Again, thank you, Connor Long. I appreciate it. Rookie mistakes being made by your boy. It's nice to see all the people chatting. Really just Bill M shouting at the chat here. Appreciate you, Connor Long. Thank you. Now we can get back to the film dive. With that, first play, 1st and 10. Jets are on their 42-yard line. They come out in a 3-by-1. I'm not drawing plays today. If you want to see me draw up all the plays, I did that on the A1 since day one tier. So I appreciate everybody in the chat right now telling me they're trying to get my attention. Thank you all. I appreciate that. You're going to see on this play 2 safety blitzes from Jalen Ramsey in the slot down to the bottom of the screen. He's standing right about at the 45-yard line. And then the safety to the top of the screen, kind of hovering between the 50 and the 45. Both of those safeties are going to blitz on this play, and Breece is just going to do a little slip screen out the back to the right side of the play. So I love the timing of this screen pass by Tanner Engstrand, and we'll play it through here. You'll see the safety on the top side come down with the motion. Breece looks like he's going out for a swing route, and he just stops, gets behind all his blockers. Huge pickup of 33 yards. 1 of 11 explosives for the Jets on the day. You'll see it from the back angle a little bit better. The safety whose feet are right there coming down on the screen. They have 6 men blitzing. You see Jalen Ramsey coming to Justin Fields' blind side. Number 25, the safety coming over in front of him to his right. Just very easy. You see Tittman already out in space looking to block somebody at the second level. That's Peyton Wilson there closing in, number 41. Easy slip out to Breece, who gets past TJ Watt, which is a pretty common theme for Breece Hall this game. They were running away from TJ Watt, forcing him to take a tight angle along the line of scrimmage and really try to get through on the backside of each run concept. So this was a common theme of seeing TJ Watt diving at the legs of Breece Hall and missing. Tittman turns his guy around. Peyton Wilson is getting pushed to the sidelines. John Simpson full steam ahead. Josh Reynolds with a great downfield block. Tyler Johnson getting involved in the downfield blocking here as well. If Tyler Johnson held on for an extra second, Breece may have gone the distance here, but I'm really impressed by this. Again, the timing of the play. You see Ramsey blitzing off the slot with the motion out by the tight end. I believe that's Mason Taylor. And the concept is just kind of like a verticals concept on the bottom. Everybody's running vertical routes. Reynolds got the over. You got somewhat of a wheel route from the tight end. And then they just slip screen to Breece Hall. And he's able to do Breece Hall-like things. So, Stack, no, I did not disable the chat on purpose. I love you guys too much. I love your opinions, so I would never purposely silence you guys. We'll see it one more time. Stands clean in the pocket. A common theme, again, was clean pockets for Justin Fields. And when he didn't have clean pockets, he was able to get out and keep his eyes downfield and really show off his abilities either as a runner or as a passer from outside of the pocket. This play I have here is an RPO. It looks like RPO to my knowledge of what it looks like. It looks like Justin Fields is reading the end man on the line of scrimmage, whether to pull it or not. But the interesting thing to me is what happens at the top of the screen. We have 3 eligibles again. You have the tight end attached to the right, and you have Mason Taylor and Garrett Wilson in a stack to the right as well. And what they're going to do is they're going to motion out Mason Taylor towards Garrett they're going to motion out Ruckert to Mason Taylor and Garrett Wilson's side. And they almost become lead blockers in what eventually could become a tight end now screen. So you're going to see Justin Fields do the read option thing with Breece Hall in the backfield, reading TJ Watt. And then he's got the option to throw this potential screen to the tight end. We'll play it through. You get the motion from Ruckert, and all of a sudden he becomes a blocker. So while everybody's looking down at the run by Breece Hall for 3 yards, right? Maybe not the most successful play for the Jets here. It's 1st and 10, so 3 yards isn't a terrible pickup. But obviously you see right there, Fields is reading TJ Watt. He's got his hand on the ball. Breece doesn't know if he's going to pull it or not, but he's watching TJ Watt right here to make sure that he is, staying disciplined for the quarterback keeper. Nate says, is this a DTE? No, it's not the DTE. It's just the sneak peek. The full exclusive, Nate, is the members only 58-minute version that you're going to get at the A1 since day one tier. So $5 a month, that'll get you the full video. This is just a sneak peek, a little primer of what I saw on the film, some things that paint a picture of the future or potential wrinkles that could be built off of by Engstrand. So we have Fields at the mesh point here reading TJ Watt, but you see Garrett and Ruckert up top. They're taking on number 25 as blockers, and it looks like Mason Taylor is going to be that secret third option of that RPO, that RSO, the run screen option for Justin Fields in this offense. Yes, Dak, this is the PG version, 100%. And I also wanted to come on and take your questions and everything like that. So I just wanted to share a little bit of the film dive, give a little sneak peek, but also not the full thing to incentivize everybody getting over there and becoming a member of the A1 since day one community, because that's where I think all the exclusive content is going to be put out. So we run the RPO, they run it, but it still looks like to me eventually we're going to get this out of Tanner Engstrand, and maybe it's game plan specific where they wanted to only do the run or the quarterback keeper, and then they'll eventually get into that third option later on in the season. But I'm really intrigued by the bones of this offense and how much we've actually seen and what we're actually going to, show each and every week, because the Bills are studying, right? They're going back into the film room and they're watching all this stuff too, and they're making their adjustments based on how they played against Baltimore. So the Jets really need to be disciplined, and Justin Fields needs to make the right read more often than not on these zone reads, whether to keep it or hand it off. And I'm intrigued. I think we'd say maybe about 20% of the offense is what we've seen throughout preseason and the regular season, maybe even less. So I think whatever Tanner Engstrand has left in his bag to get into is going to be really fun for this offense. The next one I have is probably my favorite play of Justin Fields of the entire day. A nice 13-yard pass to Josh Reynolds. He zips it in between the second-level defenders, Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson. You see them both standing on the logo right here. We'll play it through. Reynolds is in the slot to the left. So you have a shallow crosser in Garrett Wilson, and then you have a hook sit by Josh Reynolds right in the middle of the field in clear view of Justin Fields. You'll see it from the back angle. Again, look at this wonderfully clean pocket for Justin Fields to throw out of. If this is going to be what we see from the offensive line for the New York Jets in 2025, this is going to be incredible. So I'm really excited about this first and foremost. You see Garrett Wilson coming from right to left as a shallow crosser. You see the feet of the defender way up at the top here, standing on the logo. And Justin Fields is going to rip this one in here. I'll slow it down for you just to see how close it gets. Look at this ball right between Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, right between the 8 and the 3 for Josh Reynolds. Turns upfield, gets an extra 2 or 3 yards out of it. I absolutely love this from Justin Fields. We'll play it back one more time from the sideline angle. One of my favorite throws from Justin Fields the entire day. It's only 13 yards, I get it. The Garrett Wilson touchdown is another one that I loved, the 33 yards in a bucket. But I think this throw, if we get more of this from Justin Fields specifically, throwing with confidence, trusting his offensive line to create a clean pocket, putting it right on his receiver between 2 defenders, that's the stuff that makes me really excited about Justin Fields and this offense. The next clip I have is 3rd and 1. The Jets are driving. They're inside the red zone. They're at the 14-yard line. They're going to come out in 12 personnel, a little 2-by-2 set. Your 2 tight ends are attached to the bottom at the line of scrimmage. We call that wing left with slot right. So wing left, slot right is how I would identify this based on the people that I watch film of. So I'm intrigued by this play first and foremost because it's another one of those zone reads that might have a wrinkle off of it eventually. But I also wanted to key in on Braylon Allen's heads-up awareness when he doesn't get the ball to immediately become a lead blocker out in front for Justin Fields. And I can't speak to if that was part of the design of the offensive play or not, but it's a heads-up play regardless by Braylon Allen to get out in front and create a blocker for Fields. So we'll run it through. He pulls it, keeps it himself, gets to the edge, picks up 4 yards on a crucial 3rd and 1 when the Jets were driving, trying to score after the Xavier Gibson fumble. So we'll see it here again. You have your tight ends here attached. That's wing left. You see TJ Watt on the right-hand side, so they're going to run away from TJ Watt as much as they can. He's at the mesh point. You see Justin Fields keying in on what looks like Alex Highsmith, number 56 on the edge. Braylon doesn't really have a gap to run into. I believe that's Peyton Wilson. He's occupying the B gap right here between Fashanu and Simpson. So there's not really a hole for Braylon Allen to go through. Fields makes the right decision to keep it, but Braylon immediately turns into the lead blocker on this play, sprints out to the corner. This is, it was ticky-tack in the moment to call this an illegal low block by Jalen Ramsey. I can understand where the refs are coming from. In my opinion, I think this is just Jalen Ramsey trying to avoid Braylon Allen while getting to Justin Fields. Fields maintains his balance, gains 4 yards on a crucial 3rd and 1. We see some people in the chat here. My guy, Ep.22 Drew, shout out to you. I'll have him on the show this weekend. For those who didn't catch it, we did a pre-recorded video talking about all the responsibilities of the defenders in the Aaron Glenn and Wilkes defense. So shout out to you, Drew. I appreciate it. I think it was designed too, just specifically the way Braylon Allen snapped his head around and immediately located a defensive back to block. So yeah, I definitely think it was designed. Let's see. Harlem says Jets should roll Fields out so you also have the possible run. Yeah, I think that's going to be something they key in on against the Buffalo Bills, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Yo Holmes says it's RPO, bro. Exactly what the first 2-point play should have been. Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't like the play call of either 2-point conversion, so you definitely have a point there. I wouldn't say it was a dirty Ramsey hit just because it looked like he was selling out to go for Fields. But then again, I'm not going to give Jalen Ramsey the benefit of the doubt because watching that game back, it was harder to see in person. I obviously know there were scuffles, like especially before halftime and stuff. But honestly, my biggest takeaway from watching the broadcast film back was Jalen Ramsey is a hoe ass. Like that's all I could think about was Jalen Ramsey is such a pot stirrer. And it worked. You know, he flopped on the John Simpson penalty that was inconsequential. But yeah, I do think it was designed though. But I like the bones of that play and what it could potentially lead to. And the QB design run stuff, I thought that was, for the most part, very excellent. I think the QB sneaks were good by Justin Fields. The QB draws that he did were good. That one there where he got out on the edge with the lead blocker was good. The only time that I really had a problem with Justin Fields when it came to the running aspect of it was when he made the wrong read on some zone read stuff. And there was one where he could have scored a touchdown. And there was another one that he slipped after keeping it and got sacked, or technically tackled for a loss for 4 yards, and they had to settle for a field goal, I believe, on that drive. So little tiny things from Justin Fields that I'll nitpick as we go on throughout the season, but for the most part, you have to be pretty impressed. And Yo Holmes, this one's for you. This is the second of the 2-point conversions that the Jets tried. They have Reynolds down to the bottom. They have a tight end to the left. I believe that's Ruckert. They have Mason Taylor to the right and Garrett Wilson tight to the right in the 2x2 shotgun set. So this one is a little bit tricky. They're going to motion Josh Reynolds across the formation. Jalen Ramsey is going to travel with him, which on a basic vanilla level could indicate man or zone for the quarterback. And in this case, you would think that it's man. But Jalen Ramsey does a good job of, I guess, passing off the responsibility to this corner over here, Darius Slay. And Ramsey and the safety up top here double team Garrett Wilson. And this was a common theme in the red zone for the Jets against the Steelers, was they were doubling Garrett Wilson as much as possible and trying to take away Justin's first read. So they'll motion Josh Reynolds across, and he's going to run a flat route to that near side pylon. Garrett Wilson's going to run a corner route to the backside pylon, and 2 guys are going to attach with Garrett. Nobody's going to attach with Mason Taylor doing the mesh with Jeremy Ruckert, and we'll get into that, but I don't think Justin Fields was even able to get back to that as a second or third option on the play. We'll play it through. Reynolds comes in motion. They're passing it off. 2 guys take Garrett. And to me, it's not necessarily Justin Fields' fault that the play isn't a success. We'll slow it down a little bit more. You see Darius Slay at the top of your screen. He's pointing. He's like, hey, you stay there. You stay there. I got Reynolds. You guys take care of the inside threat, Garrett Wilson. And you immediately see 22, Juan Thornhill, and Jalen Ramsey, eyes on Garrett Wilson. They're attaching to him. Right here, Mason Taylor comes open. And I understand if you're doing this whole thing with the clicker, you can say, oh, throw it to Mason Taylor right here. That's an easy play. Justin Fields isn't even looking in Mason Taylor's direction, so it's hard to, say, oh, yeah, you got to get your head back around, Justin. Like, that's just not the timing of the play. And truthfully, even though it's double coverage, Garrett has separation to the back pylon. In my opinion, and you'll see the entire thing right here, the 5 players in the end zone, right on top of the T and the S of the Jets. That's my biggest issue. If I'm Tanner Engstrand and I'm having this motion, the Jets love to run this little motion to a quick out or a flat route. I think if you were asking Josh Reynolds to run a return route where he kind of does like a zig and cuts back inside, that's going to make Darius Slay pull with him, and it's going to give way more space back here for Justin Fields to lob this ball into. Instead, Slay is attached until he sees the ball thrown. He opens his hips, and he's able to drop back and get the ball. But realistically, Ramsey and Juan Thornhill are both cooked by Garrett Wilson on this play. And Garrett was probably going to make this catch if it wasn't for Darius Slay. So I would like to see Engstrand maybe put a different route concept on if he is going to stretch to the back pylon. Obviously, he didn't anticipate double teams on Garrett Wilson, but to have 3 defenders in that same area is a little tough. We'll see it from the back angle here. Ramsey comes in motion. Immediately, they snap on to Garrett. And right there, both of the defenders have their back turned to Justin Fields. So, in my opinion, this is a great pass by Justin Fields. He did it perfectly as far as I'm concerned. You see the stripe of the defender's helmet, or you see the nameplate on the back of their jersey, that means you rip that ball in there, right? Aaron Rodgers was a master of doing this, and Jordan Love has picked it up almost perfectly in Green Bay, and they do the same types of things. So I would like to, I would like to see Fields continue making these types of throws. You can't predict the double coverage on Garrett Wilson, but he definitely could have made the play. I know he got pushed out of bounds again by Slay, so it would have been a tough catch regardless for Garrett Wilson. And I'm more nitpicking Tanner Engstrand here as we run through the play one more time from both angles. I just don't love putting all those players in the same area and allowing for Darius Slay, to open his hips and get that pass breakup. So little nitpicky things about the Jets offense. Some things I would change. Some things I was definitely encouraged by. I guess you can't help but come away slightly impressed at the bare minimum with this offense. I feel like when we've seen offenses by the Jets in the past, and they're not even coming close to 300 total yards of offense. We had 182 yards of just rushing output. And I feel like in most years, we don't even get 180 yards of offense, especially under, Zach Wilson. There are more opportunities for that with Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but this offense to put up 394 points, 4 total touchdowns. They scored 4 drives out the gates for the first time since 1997. They didn't record a punt in the first half of a football game since 1991. So 4 years before I was even born. So I think there's a lot to be encouraged about with this Jets offense. Obviously, I understand people who are a little bit more apprehensive and want to see it before they believe it over a 2, 3, 4 game stretch. And perhaps after we come out of that Tampa Bay game, regardless of what the team's record is, if Fields plays at this level and, the Jets fall short and they're 1-2 or even 0-3, but Fields is balling out at this level consistently, I feel like that is the silver lining I will take away from this season the most, because that's what it's all about, discovering if we have the coaching staff, if we have the quarterback, if we have the right pieces in place. So I don't want to say I want to be 0-3, and I don't want to be 0-2 even. I think we got to win against Buffalo. But there are some things this team can do and show me that will make me a little bit more optimistic than ready to pull the plug and change the whole regime once again. Like people were like that after the first loss. I get it. We're all beaten down as Jets fans. We need to see wins in that column stack up, and it's not easy to just say, "Oh, but Fields is playing well and he played well in a loss." That's not enough, right? We need to actually see the wins happen. But I feel like Sunday was, a step in the right direction, especially when they tell you they want to run the ball. They're still able to run the ball, and they do it pretty effectively against a really strong defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would say the Steelers defense is better than the Bills defense currently as of today. That doesn't mean I think the Jets will have the exact same amount of success against the Buffalo Bills, but the Baltimore Ravens put out a pretty good blueprint on how to beat the Bills. And it's not, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that they're the 32nd ranked rushing defense after everything we saw in that Sunday night game. They come away with the win, but I'm sure that they're not happy with their performance considering the fact that they were down 40-25 in the fourth quarter at one point. So I think Buffalo is going to come correct. They're going to want to prove that they learned from the tape and that they're going to be a better football team moving forward. But I think the Jets are going to be able to do the exact same thing. I think the Jets are going to be able to come out and say, hey, it's no longer a race to 20 points. They just did the NFL Network prediction for the games. Everybody but one person took the Buffalo Bills. I don't think that's really surprising. But every single analyst had the Jets scoring more than 20 points, even in a loss. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of comedic how the NFL is such a week-to-week league and how one good week of offensive explosion can really change the minds of the national media about this team. I think Jets fans are a little bit more dialed in, obviously, and we know that one game doesn't prove anything. But if there's one thing to be encouraged about, it's certainly the confidence that Justin Fields is playing with, the confidence that the coaching staff has in him as a player. and the trust that they're giving him with this offense, because I think we see it at our own jobs, in our personal lives. If our boss, recognizes and shows confidence in us as an employee, it motivates you to do a little bit of a better job, right? So same thing is happening with Justin Fields right before our eyes. I'm excited about what he can do against Buffalo. And with that, I'll turn it over to you guys in the chat. If you have any questions, drop a like, please, on this video. I certainly appreciate it. That would help us grow, be seen by more eyeballs in the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I believe we're 75 or 76 subscribers away from 1,000, and that would be the full monetization tier for me on YouTube. So that would certainly help me a lot in terms of getting paid by YouTube and really being a full functioning channel for you guys. So would certainly appreciate that. And also, I'm going to shout out one more time, $5 will get you in at the A1 since day one tier, all the exclusive content, including the full 21 or 22 play film breakdown of the offense. So if you liked what you saw just now in that little mini film breakdown, you'll certainly like what I put out on the members only channel. I see our boy Green in the chat says, "Oh, the comments are back. Okay, we're here." I appreciate you, Boy Green. My very first subscriber on the channel, and I have a DT t-shirt waiting for you, Boy Green. I'll have to get in contact with you and ship that out right away. Shout out a couple people in the chat. Rich, I see you. Bill M, Rick Kent, Jets Worldwide, Harlan, excuse me, Stack, the Brooklyn Boys. Shout out Josh. What's up, man? I appreciate you stopping by and saying hello on Sunday. We got Johnny Boy in the chat. I'm sure he's got his freaky all the way dialed up. Appreciate you, Johnny Boy. Yo Holmes in the chat. All 22. Drew, I shouted out in the chat before. K Brock, my guy. What's up, man? I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you guys have any questions for me about this offense or anything of the like, I will certainly put it up on the screen. And as our friend Snowball says, spend your money for what DT puts out. I appreciate it. I'm going to do a little sneak peek of my play charting and a little bit of what goes into that for you guys as well, because I think you guys are worth it. I think this is the best community out there, and I really want to show my appreciation for you guys. And I want to make sure that you see all the stuff that I'm putting out at the $5 tier so that you guys can go and subscribe for yourselves. So I have it up on the screen, and Jake did a great job of putting this out earlier today on his show when I was live with him. This is my play charting from 2025. We have preseason and we have regular season. These are just the Justin Fields clips, but as you see, it's every single play that the Jets ran on offense, all 66 plays. There were 2 pre-snap penalties. Even the 2-point conversions are in here. I break it all down. I go over personnel. I go over motions and shifts, some of the defensive stuff here with odd and even fronts, how many defenders were in the box, was it a run pass option, what player received the ball on each play, the success or unsuccess of each play. We have a little bit of concepts here that I'm trying to still learn about this new Angstrand offense. So this column here is not fully filled out. I'm still learning a lot about the pass concepts and what he calls them and things of that nature. So you're going to see a lot of question marks for now until I learn the proper terminology. And then you also see who is on the field for every given play. So if you wanted to filter out and see only the plays that Braylon Allen was on the field, you could do that. So that's all going to be available for you guys at the $5 tier. Again, I really want to incentivize it. I know I keep saying it, but I would really appreciate you guys becoming a member and doing exactly what our guy Snowball just did. Snowball, shout out to you. I appreciate you becoming a member of the A1 since day one community. You got me so excited now that I'm blurry on my screen. So thank you, Snowball. I hope you appreciate and can learn a little bit from all the data that is baked into that $5 tier. Yeah, we get a little bit of a tease here, Bill M. So I'm not going to show you all the goods, but I certainly will show you a tease. Let's see. I had a question here from BG. He said, "Hey, what has Dylan discussed that he is willing to do to get 1K? A kendo stick to the back, getting sent to Suplex City, eating a weird food challenge." Oh man, I don't know if I'm equipped to do many of these things. I guess I would get sent to Suplex City. I've wrestled enough with my older brother growing up that I think I could absorb the impact of a suplex. It depends on who it's from, right? But I don't know if I'm willing to do anything crazy for 1,000 subscribers, but I am willing to give you some exclusive data and stats and content. So that's a good question though, BG. I'd have to think about that. Mr. Flowers, I'm not going to even attempt to put that on the screen. Absolutely not. I would not be doing that. Johnny Boy said, DT, thoughts on Justin Fields noticing his mistakes in real time? Yeah, there was a play that I highlighted in the film review where he should have kept it, and he probably still would be running 4 days later away from the safety, and he could tell right away that he knew he made the wrong decision. So just little things like that you want to see him clean up moving into week 2. But I think for the most part, Justin Fields acknowledging his mistakes real time was visible, and it's tangible stuff that he really wants to learn this offense. Alan Dodes, dude, Alan, I completely forgot to shout you out in the beginning of my show. I am so sorry. Alan, yes, the good Alan with 2 A's. He was at the tailgate as well, and we were both sad about the alcohol situation at the tailgate for sure. Alan, I appreciate you tuning in. We're gonna have to get Alan a membership. He told me that he only tunes in on his phone and he can't subscribe to be an A1 since day one member from his phone. So what we need to do is gift memberships for Alan so that we are able to get him into the tier. Here he is. There he is in the chat. Someone get me an A1 since day one membership. I have no computer. We need to rectify that situation for you, Alan, right away. I appreciate that. Ryder and Talon says, very in-depth, Dylan. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it's just going to continue to grow. I've been doing this play charting for about 5 years now. I think this may be my 6th year even. I think I want to say I started the 2-14 season with Gase and Darnold, and then it slowly transitioned to Mike LaFleur with Zach Wilson, which was very difficult to get through. And then obviously the Nathaniel Hackett, Aaron Rodgers offense, which I've bought a book about to learn that offense. So I have a similar book for the Detroit Lions. Shout out to Bobby Peters on Amazon for providing those books. But I'm trying to learn as much as I can about these offenses to help my play charting so that you guys get as much detailed information as possible. My boy Drew says, in-depth as hell. That's some good stuff. I appreciate you, Drew. We're going to get together this weekend for sure and talk some defensive film, some defensive breakdown as well. I love Drew's insight. He's a very smart defensive guy. I love what he's going to bring to the channel. Stack, yeah, A1 since day one is the R-rated version. It's funny, I keep saying members only, and my brain rot just immediately thinks like OnlyFans. So I want to say A1 since day one, so people don't think I'm running the OnlyFans on the side. Maybe I am. Alan says a beast breaker suplex. I think I can handle it. I don't know. I'm not afraid of him. All right, let's see what else we got in the chat here. We had Josh, the Brooklyn boy. Shout out to you. I think I shouted you out. I appreciate you being in the room. He says, never forget. Yeah, it's been a weird week with all the events happening. And like I said at the top, I think if we're able to come together as a nation for just one day, 1 hour, I'll take it. There's too much division right now in this country. And things like the anniversary of 9/11, I think should bring us all back to a grounded place where we all, want to come together instead. Yo, Holmes, I don't understand what the hell you're saying, but that's to be expected. Alan says, how do I feel about the Isaiah Williams signing? I think, one, it means Kene Nwangu is going to be out for longer than not necessarily anticipated, but longer than we would like, right? With the hamstring injury he suffered in week 1. I also like the fact that there's a little bit of familiarity with Aaron Glenn and I guess even Tanner Angstrand, even though he's a special teams guy, not really a wide receiver. But I think he's going to be in line to be the primary kick returner this week across from Arian Smith, who got, thrusted into the duty when Nwangu got hurt. It was Gibson and Arian Smith back there. So I think if anything, you're going to see Williams and Smith back there. So I don't know. I don't know enough about the player specifically himself. He's kind of just mid as a returner, but if they have trust in him to hold on to the ball and, get you close to the 35-yard line, I'm an advocate for Isaiah Williams. And they got him off the Bengals practice squad, which means they had to put him onto their 53-man active roster. So interesting decision there. But I love, some will say it's 2 weeks too late swapping out Xavier Gibson for a new punt returner or kick returner, but in most years it's 6 weeks too early because we know exactly what the last regime would have done in that situation. Bill M says, Dylan, any concern about Sauce's groin? I don't know about it's all of the lower body injuries for Sauce that are just kind of mounting and hopefully none of them are, season long, where they just, eat away at his legs until he's no longer, fully Sauce Gardner. But I guess limited at practice today after he didn't have an injury designation yesterday. There was video or pictures rather of the team put out of practice, I assume from yesterday. So Sauce Gardner was participating in practice. So maybe he just, flared up after practice or this morning when he woke up and they wanted to limit him today. I guess I wouldn't really have any major concerns, but if he all of a sudden did not participate tomorrow on the injury report, then yeah, I think we need to adjust and be a little concerned. Rick Kent, no, I don't. I've asked, I believe once in the chat. I'm not going to ask again. That's cool. I have my theories on what the hell it means. I'm probably nowhere near, and I'm not going to share what I think they mean, but I see you guys using your little acronyms in the chat, thinking you're all high and mighty. No, I appreciate you, Rick Kent. But no, I certainly am on the outside looking in on that inside joke. Johnny Boy, for you, it is only 69 cents to subscribe to the OnlyFans membership. I appreciate you. Johnny Boy, you're funny. Yeah, Alan, I think this is an important part of it too. Williams signing shows how little they think of Pritchett. I don't think they want to expose Pritchett to tons of, reps at kick return or punt return. Maybe they don't have a ton of trust and confidence in him, and that's why Xavier Gibson was in that role to begin with. So it is a little tough. But yeah, that's definitely a part of it that maybe Pritchett's just not ready. Good thoughts there, Alan. Rick Kent, any chance of Pritchett being elevated? I think they elevate him. Actually, that's tough because they sat Lazard last week. If they sit Lazard, they have the flexibility, I guess, to elevate a guy like Jamal Pritchett. But again, if Isaiah Williams is going to be your primary kick and punt returner, I don't see how Pritchett really plays a role, and I don't think they're going to utilize him as a receiver on offense much. They barely utilize their wide receiver 3 as it is. Tyler Johnson had 1 catch for, I believe, 24 yards. So it was a lot of the Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds only from the wide receivers. So maybe they do elevate Pritchett, but I think the fact that Williams is now in the fold would probably keep him on the practice squad. Yeah, 2 years too late is certainly more like it with Xavier Gibson. But you have to credit them for pivoting. They saw what they saw in training camp, and they liked the 145 reps that Xavier Gibson took as a punt returner and didn't fumble. They just didn't account for him fumbling on the kickoff using horrible technique and putting the ball in his improper hand on that play. Intro music, shout out to you. I don't think I've seen you in here, or intro music, excuse me. Thanks for hopping in. I don't think I've seen you in here before. He said, watching the coaches and players' interviews are inspiring. Yeah, I think Justin Fields, so cool, calm, and collected at the podium. I really like what he brings from a leadership perspective. He's not really going to give you those flashy sound bites that get clipped out by all the beat reporters and gushed about all week. He really just kind of keeps it to the game, and he understands that there's some things that he needs to do to be better. I loved his quote that we just have to go out there and score one more point than the opposing team does. I think it's pretty obvious, but I think it's stuff like that that keeps him on track to be a good player in this league. Rick Kent, you are high and mighty. You are the legendary Rick Kent. How can you not be high and mighty? This chat would be nothing without Rick Kent, and we all know it. So we appreciate all of your support, as always. Alan, this is a good point again. Lazard has a roster bonus. Sitting him saves money. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to just keep doing this until they eventually cut him, or maybe they suffer an injury. I know Josh Reynolds was out with a hamstring injury today, so maybe they eventually do need to call on the services of Alan Lazard, but I want to keep him on the bench and street clothes as long as possible. Charles B says, does the film reveal anything about Braylon's lack of protection on Sunday? So there was actually a really good pass pro rep by Braylon Allen on one of the plays. I'm not going to go through and try to find the exact play, but there was a play where I was impressed by his ability to work from Fields' right all the way over to the left tackle and block one of the blitzers off the left-hand side. I thought he did okay in that aspect. I guess I wasn't studying just all his pass pro reps, but Isaiah Davis had some really good pass pro reps as well too. So I guess just not the best day for Braylon, right? He had the 8-yard touchdown, but he finishes with 9 yards on 6 carries. So not really the most productive day from Braylon, but I think he'll have his weeks where he's more of the lead back than Brees. Harlan says Jets should bring to the 53 Quentin Skinner. Yeah, I would consider this, especially if Alan Lazard is no longer with the team in the coming weeks. Maybe you find a purpose for Quentin Skinner, who's 6'5", who could be a contested deep catch wide receiver for you. Nate, yeah, you guys are. I don't know what this is, but Rick Kent certainly is a legend. Nate says he is simply a demon. That's hilarious. I love it. Yes, Rick Kent, I hope to get to meet you in Tampa. You will get to meet me in Tampa. Absolutely. I will not leave without saying hello to all the wonderful people who are going to be in Tampa, whether you're at the hotel, whether you're at gas bars on Saturday night, tailgating at the game. You can come up and say hello. I will most likely doing the Ricky New York Live. I'm not a drinker. I promised a couple people some shots. Shout out Peg and Artie. I'll be doing a couple shots of Fireball with them to celebrate their wedding. So yeah, Rick Kent, we'll definitely catch up and have a good time. Junio Rudy, thank you for joining the chat. I appreciate you. He says the Oliver news is huge for us. Take advantage of the loss and chew up clock. Yeah, I never want to root for injuries, obviously, but when they come about, you have to just take them in stride, analyze them just as if they were our own injuries, right? That helps the opposing team. Ed Oliver being out potentially on Sunday is going to be a huge loss for them, and I think that would really benefit the Jets if they want to try to run more between the tackles. It looked like they ran a lot of zone concepts on Sunday against the Steelers. Maybe that was to combat how strong their edges were and they were trying to run away from TJ Watt. But if they want to run up the middle, Ed Oliver not being there certainly helps the Jets' chances. Our guy Chris B, shout out to you, the most optimistic and positive fan in the room. He says, hey, Dylan Tereman, everyone go JETS. Love you all. Hope all is well. Like, support, subscribe to the channel. Phenomenal A+ Jet content always. Yes, thank you, Chris B. I appreciate it. Everybody hit that like button for me. Help me get into the algorithm a little bit better on YouTube. More eyeballs will be on my content. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Become a member of the channel, but also become a member of the A1 Since Day One community. $5 tier will get you in for all the exclusive access, including the film review and the play charting that I have all set up for you If you go into the members only section, once you become a member of the A1 Since Day One community, you will see a link directly to this spreadsheet. All you have to do is request access, and you will be granted editor permission so that you can go in and sort all the filters. If you want to see 3rd and 7+ inside the enemy territory in the second half, you can sort through all those filters, find out all the plays they ran, and really, get real specific with the data and find out any tendencies the Jets may have. Oh no, Nate. Is this true? Rick Kent has been big timed by content creators. I don't want to start drama, but that's unfortunate, Rick. In foreign countries. Oh no, Rick Kent. He got his passport ready and he was stood up. That's unfortunate. No, you know me, Rick Kent. I mean, Nate knows I chilled with him for almost the entire tailgate pregame, and I even met up with him after the game. So I will certainly carve out time to say hello to everybody that wishes to see me. Like I'm something crazy. Like I'm high and mighty now. Look at me sounding like people want to come see me. Charles B says percentage change that the Jets offense we saw Sunday was not a mirage. It's one game sample size. I'll keep it pretty basic. I'll say 50-50, right? You can either see them fall flat on their face against Buffalo, or we might see them continue this success, maybe even to a higher degree. So I would say it's 50-50 right now. Just trying to be as objective as possible. For me personally, I think it's closer to like 65% that this was not a mirage. I think there's a really strong case to be made that Tanner Engstrand is one of the best offensive minds that we've had in quite a long time. I've seen several tweets from national media members talking about the Lions and how much they miss Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. And Tanner Engstrand is included in those conversations of people that were lost by the Lions organization. So I don't think Engstrand should be overlooked in that equation, because he certainly brought some really good pass game concepts to the Lions. And now he's bringing them to the Jets. And if he gets Fields playing with confidence, then this is not a mirage at all. Let's see what else we got. Junior Rudy, Commanders or Packers? I'm taking the Packers -3, and I would probably bet the under, and it's going to be a nail biter. I think it's 48.5 on FanDuel. I project 27-21 Packers win. They are down 2 starting offensive linemen, though. Aaron Banks, their new free agent guard, and Zach Tom, their newly paid offensive tackle, are out in this game. So definitely unfortunate for Jordan Love. But if they can get the ground game going with Josh Jacobs, and Jordan Love is able to do just enough, I think that would be enough to beat the Commanders, who are looking to bounce back after a slow start with a win against the Giants in week 1. Let's see what else we got. Rick Kent over Big Ben. That's funny. There you go, Rick Kent. See if you can fit me into the schedule. That's exactly it. Yeah. No, we'll certainly have a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Obviously, the meetup for Jake and all the Asmaniacs and everything, but really excited to get to my second game in 3 weeks. Excuse me. I'm hoping I don't lose my voice entirely, and really looking forward to that. My first game, not in MetLife, so my first away game technically for the Jets. I'm really excited for that. I think Raymond James Stadium is a beautiful stadium, and we're sitting in front of the ship, the pirate ship, that goes off every time they score points. So I expect not to bring my earplugs, because that ship is not going off once. Dre Day, my guy. Great to meet you, bro. I appreciate it. He said we got a DP, now we got DT. Keep doing your thing, bro. I appreciate that, Dre Day. It was really great to talk with you a little bit. I know you, me, and Nate and Coach Olglick were debating the inactive list at like 11:25. Of course, Nate has to start it with, is AZ Thomas going to dress? And I'm like, of course he's going to dress. He's CB3. He's first one off the bench. To which Nate took so much offense because he's the Quantez guy. But I predicted 6 or 7 of the 8 inactives pretty perfectly, all the way down to Leonard Taylor III and Alan Lazard and Jelani Woods. So shout out to you guys. I appreciate you guys. Alan says he's taking the Commies. That's fair. They're a very good team. Jaden Daniels is special. All 22 Drew says, was watching Brett Coleman the other day. We ran to the left side a lot, but he mentioned how really the cutoff block by Myers, Tippmann, Membu was the engine to those zone runs to the left. Yeah, there were a couple plays that I was really impressed with. Membu specifically, when I went back and watched specifically what the rookie was doing, there was some really I don't know like technique names or anything like that, but he was able to reset and get in front of TJ Watt multiple times to cut off the backside of those run plays. So yeah, even though they were running to the left, that doesn't mean that the responsibilities of the right side aren't to, cut off the backside. So that's great. I'm glad that Brett's pointing that out. Brett's a really good football mind. I love listening to him. And I believe is it EJ, I think, from the Bootleg crew. I think that's their work over there. I know Brett does his own work too, but appreciate the insight. And yeah, Membu had a great game against TJ Watt. Let's see. Snowball, how many rushing yards for Fields this week? Over under 50. He had 12 for 48 and 2 touchdowns. He had about 3 or 4 plays, I want to say, that went for negative yards, maybe 2 or 3 plays that went for negative yards. So he could have eclipsed 50 in this game, but I'm going to say under. I think the Bills key in on it a little bit more after what the Ravens were able to do against them. So I think they just key in on the mesh point of the running back and the quarterback a little bit more. So I'll say slightly under, but I still think he gets over 40. Scott says, let's make the linebackers Milano move east to west and Brees and Braylon not just dive. Yeah, I think that's certainly part of it. I feel like they ran mostly inside and outside zone, so they're trying to attack more of the outside shoulder of the tackle or the B gaps of most run schemes. So yeah, I don't necessarily say just run it up the middle every time, but you definitely want to get their linebackers flowing east to west and allow Brees to do what he does in space, make one jump cut and miss and spring a big run. Braylon Allen, he's more of the bowling ball down the middle, but you can also do the zone stuff with him. So yeah, I don't think it's necessarily just you got to run it up the middle because there's no Ed Oliver. You certainly have to mix it up. Junior Rudy, no, I'm not going to any more games other than Tampa. I got the week 1 game and then week 3. That's all I could really do for this season. Financially, just missing work and everything like that. I don't want to take weeks and weeks off of work just to go to some of these games. And living in South Carolina, it's hard to get to more home games than I would like. I was hoping they would play Carolina on the road, and I'd be able to take my nephew to his first game against the Panthers, but unfortunately that's not the case. So no, just 2 games for me this year, and I'll be doing watch-alongs with Nick Shine on Sundays for a couple of the games. We'll be doing this Sunday against the Bills, obviously. I will be making an appearance at that bar in, I guess it's Charlotte. I think it's called Dillsworth. I'll be making an appearance there for one of the games coming up to meet some of the listeners there. I believe Indy Jets, Philly Noodles, all those guys, they go to Dillsworth because they're Carolinians as well. So no games after Tampa, but I'll be around making an appearance, both live streaming and at certain events and venues. Nate says, to be fair, I predicted Quantez as the emergency quarterback. Hey, that's not terrible, right? I don't know if he has the arm to do it, but he's certainly got the speed and the mobility to run the QB design stuff. So Charles B says we have bookend tackles for the foreseeable future. Absolutely. Obviously, the only thing right now that looks like that would derail them is injuries, and we hope that's never the case for any player. But yeah, it looks really promising. I know a couple years ago everybody was hyped up about AVT and Mekhi Becton being the the tandem for the future on the offensive line, but it really looks like Membu and Fashanu and also Tippmann are really key pieces for the future of this offensive line. Rick Kent, I hate Milano. He kills the Jets. Yeah, he killed Mike White too. It's really unfortunate. Great linebacker, but it's just unfortunate to see Milano wreak havoc against the Jets. Alan says he's buying into Angstrand. Yeah, I think if there's ever a guy to feel optimistic about, I was optimistic about Mike LaFleur and the creativity that he brought to the offense. We were doing a lot of explosive things that we had never done before. We led the month of October, I think it was, that one year when we had Mike White and Josh Johnson as our quarterback. We were leading the league in offensive production for that month. So, yeah, there's reasons to buy in on Angstrand for sure. Charles B., I don't know if it's likely that Ed Oliver is out, but being a did not participate today is a little bit concerning if you're a Bills fan. I think he was in a boot, riding a scooter throughout the facility was the tweet that Jake put out today from a Buffalo Bills reporter. They went on to say he played table tennis and he was standing up, not on the scooter. But then as soon as the game of table tennis was over, he got back on the scooter and rode throughout the facility. So Ed Oliver being out would be huge. I just don't know if it's guaranteed or not. We'll see tomorrow what the injury report says. Charles says, is Becton riding the bench somewhere? No. So he's Super Bowl champion Mekhi Becton from the Philadelphia Eagles. He is now with the Los Angeles Chargers, but they played their game in Brazil Friday against the Chiefs. And I saw on Friday morning, Mekhi Becton was added to the injury report for the Chargers, and it had illness next to his name. And I jokingly said, oh, Mekhi's got the bubble guts, and, the whole thing about the post that was made about him that's making its rounds on social media. I said, he's pooping his pants over seeing the Chiefs, and, he's got the bubble guts. And then a couple hours later, he posts from the Brazil hospital with the quote, do not eat the beans and rice in Brazil, as Bill M says. So he truly, in fact, had the BGs, the bubble guts, and he was not able to make the game for the Chargers Chiefs. I don't know who stepped up in his place, but Mekhi Becton not off to a hot start in LA after eating the beans and rice of Brazil. So that's the Mekhi Becton update. Oh, is this going on in the game right now? He injured his shoulder. The game just started. That's so unfortunate. Jalen Reed, one of the many wide receivers in Green Bay that are pretty good to great wide receiver twos in that offense. They lack the wide receiver one until Matthew Golden pops, but Jaden Reed was definitely a fun piece of that offense. And as somebody who wanted the Jets to trade for Romeo Doubs, I hate seeing any wide receivers go down with injury in that room. All right, let's see what we got here. We're just over the hour mark. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe if you are new. I see about 80 people in the room. I don't know how to decipher that one, Scott. I want to answer your question, but I don't know what exactly you're trying to say here with cap implications. 1 to 2 years Super Bowl. I'm not quite sure what that means. Honestly, though, if we're talking about cap space, do exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles do. And that's, backload their contracts until all the TV deals come out and make sure that their good players get paid, but also they can pay more players coming up as the years. Because good teams are able to pay their good players. It's the craziest thing in the world, right? We say, how do they keep getting away with it? Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie, their owner, they're making these contracts the right way, and they're backloading them to like 2029 when the TV deals come out, and there's a big boom in salary cap. It goes up 15-20% every year. So now you guys are just trolling me. Stack, Rick Kent. Yeah, you're mocking me now. 100%. I don't appreciate it. You're hurting my feelings. No, I don't get my feelings hurt about little things like that. Again, Scott, I'm having a harder time deciphering this, but if you mean like what free agents want to go to the Jets, I mean, they have to prove their concept. They have to prove that they have good coaching, that they have a competent quarterback, a good offensive line will help do that. And then people see culture and they want to gravitate toward good culture. And it felt like when Aaron Rodgers came here, there was the mirage of good culture and players wanted to buy into the Aaron Rodgers Jets, but it felt like they were more buying into just Aaron Rodgers and not really what the Jets were about. So with Aaron Glenn in the fold, I think we're going to attract the right people who want to be here for the right reasons. Yeah, Rick Ken, I completely agree. We'll be able to attract quality players. And the fact that we put up 32 points on a considerably elite defense is a step in the right direction. Wilson and Becton ruined the Solid Douglas regime. You could also say Solid Douglas ruined the Solid Douglas regime because they sat on their hands and they were, unemotional on the sideline if you're Robert Saleh, and they were not proactive when they fired his best friend in Rex Hogan if you're Joe Douglas. So I don't know. There's a lot of blame to go around for that. But fortunately, we don't have to assess the blame for those situations right now because we have a lot of new positive things to consider with our team. Still only the one membership from Snowball today. Hopefully, a couple of you guys consider becoming a member of the A1 Since Day One community. Once again, you will get the entire film breakdown on my channel, but you will also get the play charting stats from every game this year. You have preseason, Justin Fields reps, and then you have the regular season here as well. I go through it all. Run, pass splits, personnel grouping, 11 personnel, 12 personnel. They only ran 3 personnel groups, 11, 12, and 21. 21 was when Andrew Beck was on the field in the backfield, or on the other play, there was only 2 instances. The second one was when they ran the pony package, which is Braylon Allen and Breece Hall. So a lot of cool creative wrinkles in this offense that I'm really excited for, but consider getting in at the $5 tier, and I certainly appreciate it. We'll check the subscriber count now. We are at 925, so 75 away from 1,000. That'll get me fully monetized. I see Charles. Yeah, raffles. We're getting there. I need to make a little bit more money from YouTube before I can even consider putting back in. But that is my plan. Is almost all the dollars that I make from YouTube are going to go back into creating a better experience for you guys, the listeners. You can do what Snowball just did and take advantage of your new membership emojis. I have to create more because we had a pretty big surge in memberships in the last 4 or 5 days or so since I made an emoji. So I have to update so you have more channel emojis. You get a cool badge next to your name as well. So let's do it up. Scott says let's get 100 grand or 1,000 grand. I'm confused. Scott, your English is throwing me off tonight, and I keep putting your chats up thinking that I can read them. But yeah, let's get to 100,000. Let's get to 1,000 grand would be $1 million. So let's run it up with the subscriptions. I'd certainly appreciate it if you guys appreciate the film breakdowns, the analytic breakdowns that I do earlier in the week. My plan, because I'm not going to this game, is to have some content out a little earlier in the week. When I went to the game Sunday, I didn't get home till, close to 6:30. By the time I ate dinner and relaxed, I fell right asleep on the couch during the Sunday night game. So I didn't even go back and watch the film until Tuesday because I was traveling home on Monday. So I was, 36 hours behind the content creation that I wanted to do. So this week, Sunday, right after the game, I'm going to jump right back into the broadcast rewatch, hopefully get my film done on Monday or Tuesday so that I can get the content out Tuesday through Thursday, and then we can prep more for previews of the upcoming week, right? So that's going to be a bit of a struggle in the first 3 weeks, is trying to balance the review of the game and the preview of the following or the upcoming game, because I'm going to be there in person. So things are a little bit pushed back, but I appreciate everybody's, patience, everybody's support throughout all this. I will be having guests on every so often. I'm trying to get film guys. I'm trying to get other teams, content creators. So like a Bills guy per se, or, maybe we can get a Bucks guy on in a couple weeks. I got to do some reaching out to find out some of those people, if their availability will work out. But that's kind of what I'm trying to bring to the channel. Hopefully I can get out the content a little bit earlier this week, not being in person. So week 3 going into week 4 might be a little bit delayed like it is this week, but hopefully it'll all iron itself out throughout the season. Again, this is my first season doing content on my own, so it's all a work in progress. It's all trying new things, trying to see what sticks, and I appreciate everybody's feedback, both positive and negative. I take the constructive criticism on the chin. I don't shy away from it. Like just even the other day, Coach Nick Shine called me up and he said, "Hey DT, I saw you put out a video, and I think you should plug your like and subscribe earlier on in the video, because not everybody makes it to the end." And I said, "You know what, Nick? Little things like that I'm aware of, but I'm not fully aware of when I'm making the videos. So I appreciate all that support, all the feedback. I try to take it and improve my content performance for you guys. So really appreciate it." Chris B is giving us, I guess, an order. Is this your lunch order here, Chris B? Sounds like a good lunch. Italian sandwich, banana cream smoothie. Sounds pretty nice, Chris B. All right, let's see what else we got. We're about at an hour and 15. I've done so much content today. My voice is surprisingly still here. I did the hour film breakdown today, and then I did 2 hours with Jake, and now an hour plus with you guys. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll get a couple more questions here, and then we'll hop out. Everybody can go enjoy their Thursday night game, Commanders and Packers. Junio says you're going to get their DT stocks going up. Yeah, I appreciate that. Trying to take a little bit of everybody's game and create my own little channel here. So shout out to, the Jakes and the Matts and Ryan, Green Bean, Ian, Buffalo Jet fan, all those guys, as kind of being a model of what I want my content to resemble, right? I want to do it the right way, build out a nice community, and you guys are some awesome people, and I really I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll say it so many times. I just never thought sitting in front of a camera talking about this shitty football team would actually create such a great community. But you guys, A1 since day one. What else can I say, right? Yeah, start winning and the players will come. I certainly agree. That's exactly what the Jets need to do. Georgie with some sound advice. He says, "Don't be a chump." I try not to be, Georgie. I do everything you don't do because I don't want to be a chump. So hopefully I'm on the right path. I appreciate you tuning in. As always, man. Keep being a little pot stirrer with Cho. That's funny. See, now you guys are just trolling me, man. Georgie wasn't here when we went over it, but now you guys are completely trolling me. Georgie loves him some Cho. Yeah, it's one of the more underestimated rivalries in this community and fan base. But it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games till someone loses an eye. Then it's hilarious. All right, with that, we're probably gonna wrap it up. I see everybody's now just pure trolling me in the comments. I appreciate it. Hour 20 mark. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll be back Saturday, hopefully Saturday around noon, maybe a little bit after, with all 22 Drew. We're going to go over some defensive plays. He sent me a ton of notes on all his thoughts on the defense. I'm really excited to break it down because that was where the shortcomings were with the Jets for the most part on Sunday against the Steelers. So until then, please smash the like button. Help me get out in front of more eyes on the YouTube communities. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I didn't make this chat subscriber only, and a lot of you guys, after I enabled the chat 10 minutes later, you guys were pretty good about it. I don't have to block anybody or kick anybody out. So I don't need to make it subscribers only, but we will if we have to. And then once again, A1 since day one tier, $5 will get you all the exclusive membership. I have college film breakdowns of John Mateer on that membership tier, and then the 58-minute film breakdown from week 1 of the Jets offense. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all. See you all back here Saturday afternoon, a little bit afternoon on Saturday with All 22 Drew. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, JETS, 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 Jets.